Dun, dun, dun! Hello, beautiful people. It's me, Robyn Carpenter Briscoe, your favorite spiritual life coach. And I am here with you for another Illimitable Living Session. Yay! And today we have guests. You know how I love to have guests because they're all my friends. So it makes me extra happy. But we have the wonderful and dynamic indie soul rock duo. I love saying that. Mortasay, which is Vonyse Reader and Mary Lou Palmer. Do, 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 do. I am very excited to have them here today for lots of reasons. One of which is they are magnificent, and you are finally going to get to find out why. So, how are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Doing great.
We're good.
Yeah.
How are you? Yeah.
Yeah, are you feeling good?
I feel awesome because Derek Chauvin got found guilty on 3 counts. So progress is happening. Change is occurring. We feel great. Yes.
Change is happening and change is necessary. And change is always necessary, right? And also it always feels better when there are signs that change is actually happening. And that would certainly be a very big sign, I think. So yay. We are recording this, but you will see it on Saturday. With that you'll now know when we're recording it because it happened today.
Cats up.
So I just want to do a little bit of, because I love your bio. But it's long, and then the short one is too short. So I'm kind of doing a thing. So I do love that you guys say that you're 2 girls banging on things and squeaking loudly on purpose. But I do love this part of what you said, that this queer married duo seeks to uplift, inspire, and push boundaries through music, but their expression expands far beyond that. And that is absolutely true because Vonyse, you're a film director, and Amy, you're a photographer, and I'm going to tell you, can make a person feel very fantastic in being in front of the camera with them because they saved my tuchus on a red carpet for Outfest one year. I was without my regular producer and camera person, and they filled in and did all kinds of things all week and took really good care of me. And it was wonderful because I get a little fish out of water in front of the camera, and they made me feel magnificent. And still, some of my favorite footage from Outfest happened on red carpet with them. So I can attest to the magnificence that they have behind the camera. And then they are this dynamic music sensation that is changing things and saying things, and I'm excited about that. So talk to me, guys. Like, today's topic is why have a spiritual life? Like, what's the point? My role in my client's life is generally to help them understand how to add spiritual practice into their daily life so that it helps them get through their stuff. You don't suddenly have this life where you're like, I'm spiritual now, and then nothing terrible ever happens again and all things are right and rosy. The whole point is, for me, is that you develop it so that it gets you through the stuff when stuff happens. So that's kind of how I look at it. But what do you think? Why, I'm particularly interested in Amy's answer to this question.
Why is that?
Me too.
Pastoral counseling background, Ms. Amy.
Oh, yes.
This kind of is like your wheelhouse at some point. Wouldn't you say that this is kind of, where you met people in
Yeah.
the space of, having a spiritual life? Tell me your thoughts.
Go on.
I look at spirituality kind of a bunch of different ways, but I see it being spiritual the same as drinking water. Like, we need to drink water, not only because, I need to, drink my water to get my pounds down and to make sure I'm active and, all the other stuff, but it's because we have to have water to live. And I think our spirituality really plays a big part of us being alive. We are sentient beings.
Yeah.
We have a spirit man. We have a spirit self. And we have to nourish her or him or it or them. We have to nourish
whatever,
there you go, whatever your pronoun is.
Yeah.
We have to nourish it though, and take care of it. And I kind of look at my spirit man almost as kind of the inner child as well. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
We have an innocence amongst us when we're born, and somehow in our adulthood, it gets a little jaded, or we might get caught up in the world and get caught up in all the stresses and anxieties of life. And that small child in us somehow has to suffer, and we lose that innocence. And I think our spirituality helps keep that fresh and keep that innocent alive and vibrant. And it helps us with the wonderment of the world and keeping us adventurous and all the other things, Yeah. And so we have to refresh our spirit man in the same sense that we drink water.
Yeah.
The same way that we feed ourselves food. So that's my take.
I knew it was going to be a good answer. That was good. I love that though. I mean, I'm with that 100%. I talk a lot about your inner child, and it being really the light of your happiness. It's really that. That's why I always tell people you need tangerine quartz in your life, because tangerine quartz is connects to your inner child, which is your center of hope and possibility.
Yeah.
Right. Because children think all things are possible. They have hope all the time. It doesn't matter what happens. No matter how defeated they are, children always have hope, and they always think actually things are possible because they will still believe in magic, right? So there's a Hafet's poem about building a swing to God, right? And how so-and-so is going to bring the rope, and this one's going to, and you can literally in your mind's eye see children like in the backyard bringing all their stuff, kind of like little rascals, right? Trying to figure out how they're going to like build a swing that's going to just like swing just high enough to be able to like get you to God. Like that just seems like something, and they would spend days, hours and days of figuring all that kind of stuff out because they believe it's completely possible. And so often we get jaded, right? We remember the older we get, we remember there are disappointments, and not the triumphs, right? Not the things that really did work out, and not the things that we didn't even dream were as magical as they could be. And we get stuck in the jaded parts, and we don't believe in that anymore, and we lose track of so much when we stop having that sense, that inner, that light, that child light. I 100% am with you. So what do you think, Vonyse, over there? What do you think about a spiritual life? Like, why has it been important for you?
Well, I will say I concur with both of you. And I think Amy and I, she's more religious or she came from a religious background, and she's more spiritual. And I think I was more spiritual and had a glimpse of religion or a religious experience. And I found that it's the only thing that I can rely on to bring me back out of those dark moments. is to get back centered in my spirituality, in that it's a journey and it's not a destination. Right. And it lives in me. And I was just talking this morning with a friend, and it's, everything seems so extreme. We all want to win, or we're losing, know, but I feel like that good and the evil and the yin and the yang is about the balance in the middle. It isn't about alleviating either. Right. It's about learning to sit in the center of it and stay, spiritually focused on bringing out, feeding the good in our spirits, in our joy, in our, which is why I've always kind of gravitated towards your goddess of joy, yes. And when we first met it was definitely about joy when we were at Outfest. And it's, and that did mean something to me, that it brings you back to what you're committed to, regardless of what's going on around you. What you're committed to is what keeps you kind of grounded. And it's like, I respect that. Just keep your center, keep your spiritual self. And
you have to. Well, because the thing is, life is going to continue to happen if you're lucky, right? Like every day if things go the way you're hoping, you're gonna wake up, right? So each day you're given a new day, and that day has never existed and will never exist again. Like you can't duplicate it.
Yeah.
Although I have to tell you, Groundhog Day is literally like top 5 of my all-time favorite movies, like ever, because it's like, what would you do if you kept living the same day over again? It's like, I would learn to play the piano, and I would play the guy's life, and I would do all kinds of things, but because it's such this gift that we get every day, we get to choose what we do with it. And why wouldn't you keep choosing to make it better for yourself? Like, why wouldn't you're like, okay, this isn't working. When I always say, I used to tease, I used to make the joke that I was a pleasure seeker, and that's why I never really seemed to stay down. People, I had someone tell me once, you're the most make lemonade out of lemons person I've ever met. And I'm like, well, I don't like to feel bad, right? Like I don't like to feel depressed and sad and angry and hateful and spiteful, all those things. I don't like to feel like that. It doesn't feel good. Like it actually physically doesn't feel good. And I don't like continuing to walk around feeling like that. So I need to work it out, right? I need to get myself back to that space because I want to feel better. And so, but this is also part of how I became a spiritual life coach, is because I realized most people don't look like that. Like they don't go, how am I going to feel better? Let's figure it out and do the things and read a book and go to a class and take a thing and do all that work. Most people don't do all that work. They just feel bad, right? They feel bad. And then they find other people that feel bad too, so that we can sit around feeling bad together and talk about how bad it feels. Right?
Yeah.
That's why misery loves company, right? Like it's like, I feel bad. Yeah, it sucks. Does it suck feeling bad? It does suck feeling bad. I know. Let's get some more people to sit around and talk about how much it sucks.
Yeah, it's so tough though. And I would want to ask you, how do you feel like you because you say you don't like feeling bad, but so do you feel that you kind of block it out, or how do you find that middle ground? Because I feel like some people feel like I can't express upset and still have joy at the same time. Like I can feel like something is unjust and be upset about that and still turn around 5 minutes later and have a good time.
Yes. Well, because here's the deal. Because there's a couple of things going on. People equate joy and happiness as the same thing. And happiness is an expression of a situation. So happiness is super situational, right? Like you either are miserable or I'm so happy. But joy is much deeper. It lives within you. So it's an expression of self. It's an expression of light. It's literally joy. If you were going to give joy a sound, it is literally the sound of children laughing. because it comes from within them and they just experience it as this wonderful thing. It's why I became a laughter yoga instructor, because you're laughing for no reason, right? You're just laughing for what it feels like in your body, you know, and children go, and you're like, what's going on? And they're like, I have the giggles. It's my belly, you know, like there's no reason. It just feels good. Yeah. And like and the deal about that, your body doesn't know any difference between you laughing at something and you simply laughing. Like literally, your scent of joy sits there. It just belongs. It's part of who you are. Happiness is really an expression of, you know, I live in joy, and I am absolutely never happy about driving in traffic in LA.
Right. That's a great example.
Yeah, that is.
Like ever.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, while I'm in that traffic, I can be having completely joyful moments inside my car, right? Like I can, you can live in, it seems dichotomous, except it's actually not, because, you know, you just kind of, Mahatma Gandhi says, happiness is when what you think, what you love, and what you do are all in alignment, or something like that. It's like if anything's out of alignment, you don't have happiness, right? You always have joy. You always have joy. Yeah. It's why laughter can happen at a funeral, right? It's like, because a funeral is not a happy, it is, unless people are like, I'm so glad that you aren't suffering anymore, and they literally are celebrating the fact that somebody is no longer suffering. But that's generally not the experience that people will have. Generally, it's somber and sorrowful and all those things. And at the same time, you can literally, because I've experienced it, be riding in the car, in the limousine to the cemetery, and be laughing because you're having some sort of memory, you're experiencing some sort of thing where you're like, you know, when we took my great grandfather, when he died, and we were going to the cemetery, my uncle was a bigwig in Louisiana with the state police, you know, and blah blah. So we had all these extra police taking us to the cemetery. So they were doing that cool thing where they peel off and one goes up and they block off the traffic and the wind, everything's going. And my great grandfather would have laughed his ass off at the whole like spectacle of it, especially because he was 92 when he died. He was born in 1900. Okay. So he, as a Black man, was getting this like state, like, you know, trip to the cemetery. Okay.
Right.
Like him. Okay. He died. He had owned his own house. He had blah, blah. Like he like legit had all of this stuff in Louisiana. Okay. And so he would have loved it, and it would have been hilarious, and he would have laughed, and we talked about it, and we laughed about him playing his guitar, and it was, so you can literally be feeling joyful moments in the middle of sorrow. So it's this wonderful gift that we have, and also it's really about your spiritual life, right? Like it's really about how do you make sense of things for yourself, you know, when things are going on, and so many things have been going on, right? Multiple pandemics, you know, essentially. You know, how do you make sense and live a life that doesn't feel false? Because you're not talking about, you know, spiritual bypass, right? You're not trying to like go, everything's fine, and it's you know, and like not, you know, you're not living like on an acid trip somewhere, because you know everything's fine when you're tripping acid, you know. You're like, that was good. It's good. I don't know what you're talking about. Everything is like, yes. You know?
Right.
But if we're not tripping acid, then we do have to understand how we can still be smiling and loving and kind and experience good and divine purpose in the middle of all the things.
Yeah.
And I think that your spiritual life is what gets you through that, because ultimately it's always you, right?
Yeah.
It's always you. That, like, no matter what, no matter how great your minister is, no matter how great, you know, the music is, if you go to a service or something, no matter how great your yoga instructor is, no matter all the things, you always are the center of it, because it always starts with you. Like, you have to go to the class, you have to go to the spiritual center, you have to read the book, you have to listen to the meditation, you have to do, like, the action still always starts with you. So it has to be, you have to be important enough to you to take care of it.
Yeah.
So why do you take care of your spiritual self? Come on,
Probably go crazy otherwise.
Right?
She mentioned earlier balance, you know, because your spirit man is kind of what helps you navigate everything in life, the good times and the bad. And I agree with that. So I think it's about, I think it's more about how do you nurture your spiritual self, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, from a very young age, that was always a question for me in my family. And, you know, again, I grew up very Christian in a very Christian home. But we tackled hard questions like that. And even down to self-talk. I think self-talk is extremely important. We just had this conversation not that long ago. I was taught from a very young age that your words are extremely powerful, and you never talk bad about yourself to yourself. Like, oh, I stubbed my toe, you idiot. No, you never say that, because you take it on into your spirit man. And so equally, I do think that what's edifying you is a good question. You know, what kind of, I'm not overly religious about this, mind you, but like, what's feeding your spirit? Are you only watching negative things, only listening to negative things, only hanging out around negative people, and you know, things that deplete you? What can you do to take in things that make you better? For me, it's nature. Nature, I think, is a big one for everyone, because again, we're all pretty much the same in that way. Like, we're humans, we need nature. But I'm also an earth sign, so, so nature is a big one for me.
That you are. You need, and you come from the Pacific Northwest, so you were like literally a mountain.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Exactly. I got forest creatures on my arm.
You're like Gildeptis. Like, she's my favorite. Gildeptis is my favorite goddess. She's a Pacific Northwestern goddess. She's the
you need to give me some more information on her.
Yeah, you have to learn about her, but and it goes with the stone that I chose for you. But keep talking.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so for me, it's very much being centered in nature, feeling like I can have a moment away from all the chaos to breathe and just to connect with myself, and what it is that I want, what's my focus, what's my intentions, and just let myself, like I mentioned earlier, be a kid, you know, like allow myself back in innocence and purity, and, you know, just the sweeter things in life. You know, it's like, as much as we try to eat healthy and not eat too much sugar and, you know, that kind of thing, it's still nice to every once in a while let the child in you have that frappuccino or that, you know, that brownie. Every once in a while.
Oh, or OD on chocolate chip cookies.
One took over the line, but
it happens.
It was a good moment.
This is why I like to eat things outside of my house as opposed to bringing things in my house,
Me
because
too.
if it's outside of my house, it will limit how much I have, because I'm only going to buy so much. But if it's in my house, then it's like several servings at once inside the house, and then there are chances you will go back and dip. And ice cream is a thing for me.
Oh, girl.
I can have chocolate in my house for months. I can have chocolate. Like I have truffles in my house for months. I can like eat one after dinner a couple of times a week, and that's it. Like, but ice cream?
Oh. Rough.
Yeah.
I just go out for ice cream. Like that's it. It's better if I just do it that way. But yeah, I feel you though. It's like you have to. It's always about. It was funny. I wrote a column once about the difference between. I said I used to I had a life that was about sandwiching, right? And you sandwiched all the good stuff in between all the kind of have tos, right? And but a perfectly balanced sandwich, doesn't have too much good stuff in the middle. You get one of those like pastrami's from, Katz's Deli or something that's just got this much in New York. And you're like, that's enough to feed like 4 people. But it's like on the one sandwich.
Right.
That's like too much good. Okay. So you need like enough good and enough of the have tos and everything. And then but I had a spiritual teacher who used to talk about the difference between balance and integration. Right. And I was trying to figure out what would be the food equivalent of an integrated life. And my answer is gumbo.
Ooh.
Because it's some of this and some of that and some of these and some of those, and and all the things are different and good in their own way, and some of the things are just kind of ordinary, like celery, because you still have to do a mirepoix, you still have to do this stuff, but when it all comes together, it makes this beautiful thing, right? And that's what life is like. And we if we end up like trying to make it too much of this or not, and none of that, or or cutting things out, or avoiding feeling bad, by all means necessary, like that's things that people do. It's like, yeah, okay, except you're not doing anything now because you're trying to avoid. You don't want to feel bad about things. So you're only watching, well, I do watch a lot of Antiques Roadshow, but
that's my show.
Yes. It's good.
I do high five. That's what I'm saying. High five there. The UK version particularly gives you an enormous amount of history. Like you learn a lot about stuff, and things that happened in time when you learn about people's stuff, right? It's why I love being the president of the board for the History Museum here in Baton Rouge, because it's history, right? History, art is history also, and things are, the things that people save and the things that people create in time. For things in utilitarian things, or I think tools are amazing. Like I always said, at another time in my life, I would have been like an archaeologist just to learn all the cool stuff that people do. See, you are my friend.
Nice. Wait, what's your sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Okay, wow, I didn't see that one coming.
So I'm a Gemini. My moon is Taurus.
Oh, okay.
My rising sign is also Gemini. My north node, which is the opposite. So the moon balances, it's kind of like your inner of your outer, your sun sign is your outer and your moon sign is your inner. And so I'm a Gemini sun with a Taurus moon, which means I am the most mutable sign and then the most fixed sign. So I literally balance myself. Like I'm continually always looking out and grounded simultaneously. That's why it always feels a little weird, because people are like, well, you're not nearly as flaky as the Geminis. I know. And I'm like, Well, also, I'm a grown person. So I was
Right.
definitely flakier when I was young.
Yeah.
But and so I chose, so this is like a new thing that I decided to start doing for guests when they came on. And that is choosing stones for you. So I chose a stone for each of you based on your birth sign. And Amy, yours is moss agate, which is what I'm actually wearing. These bracelets are moss agate. So I'll read you what moss agate. So that's Venus, right? And Earth. So that's you. Um, its sign is Taurus. And the affirmations are: I spend time in nature. I have an intimate connection with Mother Earth in tools for natural healing. Essential oils and herbs bring balance to my life. I am aware of the sacred ground beneath my feet. The green energy of plants and trees restore my body, mind, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like kind of what you just said.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so. Right
Nice.
on.
And we
I'm actually writing it down.
Literally, I got these things, together 3 minutes before we got on. So now, Miss Vonyse,
Uh-oh.
as the Scorpio that you are,
Yes.
yours is golden topaz. So that is, which is interesting because it is a Sagittarian Leo stone technically, but it's a fire element stone. So although you are a water sign, which is, you're a Scorpio. So kind of all bets are off kind of with that. And also well, because Scorpios are just not like, they don't follow the rule. Like they just generally don't, just as a thing.
You're right.
And so, and you're a Scorpio 1, which means you're much more effervescent and a lot less like the crazy that Scorpio gets.
Wow, you're on the money.
You are. I guess I said November Scorpios are crazy.
Yeah, like once you get farther into Scorpios, it changes a lot. So the message for golden topaz is a shining star. I am a shining star. I focus all my good attributes and amplify them. I see my path shining brightly before me. I have the courage to step forward with joy and enthusiasm. I help others as I radiate my magnificence.
Wow.
I think that sounds kind of like you, though. Doesn't that sound?
It feels like I feel about life.
It's a stone that helps you remember all the good qualities that you have about yourself. It is not okay. So I'm going to tell you, I told you this stone, it is not necessarily the easiest stone to find. It's a little pricey. So if you decided you wanted to go out and get one, I'm just going to say it's probably going to be a little one. And the easiest way to use it, like Amy, I really think you need to be meditating with moss agate. Like, I think that particularly because you are surrounded by cement and you are in the house a lot and you are doing a lot of that kind of work, I think meditating with moss agate would be really good for you because you are Taurus. You really need to be on a mountain, and when you can't be on a mountain, it needs to feel like you need to feel like the mountain, right? And so I think you really need to be meditating with moss agate. But Vonyse, I really think you need to be wearing golden topaz because it needs to be that like every time you look at yourself in the mirror, like when you're doing the thing, and then right before you leave to go out on stage or to say something or to speak in front of people, it like needs to be that like bing, like, you know, where it just like glimmer and then you're like on like that. So I feel like you need a golden topaz for that. Like that would be my thing for, you know,
I
because
love
that's
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
so. With that being said, I would like to talk about what you guys are doing because you are doing some special stuff and you have got some really cool projects going on. And I want people to know about cool things that you're doing. And I want them to figure out how to find you and all the things. So tell me what's going on for you that you want to tell people that you're excited about. Like what's happening?
All right.
All the things are happening.
All the things
I
are happening.
know. I know. That's why I wrote, you know, I was like, choose one thing because you're doing all the things.
All the things, yes. Well, I mean, we did have a video that we released at the top of the year that we need to like let people know a lot more that is out there. It's our cover of One of Us, but What If God Was One of Us? But we have 2 shows coming up in June.
Oh, yay. When?
Yes. Well, June 6th is one of them. We don't have all the rest of the information on that show, but we will tell you about June 19th, which is Juneteenth.
I was like, that's excited about.
Yes, Juneteenth, we'll be doing the Women's Freedom Festival.
So where is that?
So that's going to be Zooming online.
Okay.
And we have, you can find out information about it on our Instagram or our Facebook page. On Instagram, we're at Mortasay, and on Facebook, we're at Mortasay Music. Or you can, you know, well, we have to add it to our site.
On your website.
We have to add it to our site. That's my bad. But it'll be up there on Friday. So
okay, good. So by the time this airs, it'll be done. So. Yeah. So, but you said June 6th, you're doing what?
June 6th, we're Zooming with Q26 magazine. Okay. They're doing an event. We don't have all their information yet, but we just know that we're going to be performing.
Because that's, you know, right by my birthday, but I don't know. So I was like, well, if it was someplace I could tune in, I would do that. I already know I'm going to be on a beach somewhere. I changed my mind about which beach because I'm just not 100% comfortable with the idea of going to some of the beaches yet. So I have to be cognizant of things and go, do I want to get sick on my birthday?
Right, that part.
I just no. So but I will be on a beach because my birthday is literally on is on a Saturday, which is when this airs, you know, they always air on Saturday. So I was like, well, I could record it. And I was like, no, I think I want to go live on the beach for my right. Like if we're going to talk about living an illimitable life, then I should be going live from the beach.
Yes.
But I love it. Okay. So what's the best way for people to keep up with your stuff? Because I want to make sure, like, do you have a YouTube channel? Like, what's the story?
We do have a YouTube channel. We're going to have more videos on the YouTube channel. We're adding episodes of our podcast on there. Okay. So we have 2 podcasts.
I'm put that in the chat. We'll put it in the chat under the thing. We'll put your link for your YouTube channel and then your website, mortasay.com, and then your Facebook page, Mortasay Music.
Yes.
And then Instagram is at Mortasay. This is very helpful because, you know, the more that it's all the same, it's easier to find.
Yes.
And then is there a way to buy your music?
Music is on all platforms. Yes. Amazon.
I love it. So that means you can go find them and then buy it. It would be a beautiful, beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about this. I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to tune in and listen to you perform. You've done that. I did that when I was out of town and you guys performed at Queer Fashion Week. And I was wherever I was, and I couldn't be in LA. And I was like, but they were like, it's streaming. And I was like, okay, I'm watching. And I was like hunched over in my hotel room, wherever I was, trying to watch it. And they were like, where are you going? And I was like, I'll be back. I have to go do a thing right now. But yeah, so that'll be awesome.
Yeah. And we're going to be releasing a lot of music this year.
Good.
Yes. So people staying tuned on our social media will help with that.
Yeah.
To keep them updated on what's going to be coming out, because we got a lot of music we're trying to push out.
Yes.
And
that makes us have to stay committed. The more people that know, we have to actually, share ourselves, which is something that we've been working on doing more of.
Absolutely.
Because we get caught up in the process and not in the sharing of the process. So
because you're creatives. So you're just you're mostly just thinking about the creating, not the other stuff.
Let's set up the cameras and let's we're just like just when we're in the moment, we're in the moment. Yeah. But we're trying to document it, so
it's easy to do for other people than for yourself at a lot of the times.
Aren't you doing some sort of film too? You're creating a film for somebody.
Yes.
Too, right? Yeah.
We are filming. We are doing. We actually have a shoot tomorrow with Nick Casey Shoewear. We're shooting a piece for the Women's Freedom Festival. And we also have a Stuzo collabs. I don't know if you heard of Stuzo clothing.
Yes.
But free by nature. We do this series that we've started with them. That's them collaborating with other artists or other designers. So it's actually been really cool. Like experience.
Just on and on and on. You just been creating and creating and creating.
Yes.
I love it. So
that's how I stay alive on my spiritual self.
Well,
it's through creation.
That's good. But that's true though. I mean, and I feel like most creatives, that's really the deal, right? Like if you're a creative and you're not creating, that is generally when your energy gets the most stagnant. It's when you find when you stop feeling inspired to live life, right? Is like if you're not. Because what's the point? If you can't create, what's the point, right? That's kind of how it starts to feel, right? Mm-hmm. And also, if you're a real creative, what will happen is you'll become like an insurance agent, and it'll feel like you can't be creative, and then you'll create some crazy you'll become an insurance agent for like rock stars, right? Yeah, you figure out a way, you do a thing and then you do another thing. Like if you figure it out, if you're gonna be creative, you can be creative with your life. That's why I say, what's my hashtag? Create a life that rocks.
Yes. Yeah.
We love
it. You have all the best hashtags, actually. You have all the best ones. I'm like, dang it,
Robyn. I'm a writer, so the words are my thing.
Nice.
No,
You're good at it. You're good. Excellent.
It's fun to do. Thank you for this. Thank you for being here with me. This has been wonderful.
Yeah. We should actually talk more, Robyn.
Yeah.
I know. We need to do more of this. We just have to have more, bi-weekly Zoom meetings or something.
Right.
So, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Thank you for having us.
I'm just grateful that I got to squeeze in, because I know you're busy and doing things and being creative, and everybody wants me.
Yes.
I know 80s rock.
Yeah.
I love you very much, and I'm very grateful for you. So you guys, make sure you find Mortasay in all the places. We're going to put all of the places you can find them in the chat, so in the feed, so you'll be able to see it. Click on everything, subscribe, go out and buy music, because artists need support. And I promise you will be happy that you took this advice. Until the next time, remember, my friends, you are illimitable. So that means you can go out and create a life that rocks. Bye. I love you. You're wonderful.
Thank you.